Welcome to the Moviegoers Society Podcast, brought to you by Nerdtropolis. I'm your host, Tajipour, the Mayor of Nerdtropolis. And joining me once again is my co-host, Drew Munhausen, the professional media and movie mastermind. And we have been on a hibernation, I feel like. We're back. We are, I wouldn't say well rested. We're still grinding and lack of sleep here I'll speak personally, lack of sleep. But we are back. The pod is back. And oh man, there's just so much to catch up on.
Yeah, it's not for any lack of content. It's actually been the opposite, right? Like, I was at a film festival for a week. I've seen way too many movies, but it's because I was there. We couldn't record like normal. Haven't recorded since our Beetlejuice episode. So there's a lot to talk about, and there's a lot coming out in the future. So I feel like we're going to get to back to our more consistent schedule, thankfully, with no lack of new releases.
Yeah, and obviously in this podcast, we explore the world of cinema, from beloved classic to the latest blockbusters. And we're on episode 55, and we have a lot to catch up on. And we do have a special guest. But yeah, Drew and I, we have been doing so much. And before we get into all of that, we want to make sure that you can connect with us online. You can find me on almost every single social media platform at Sean Taj. Follow Nerdtropolis at Nerdtropolis. And don't forget to visit nerdtropolis.com for your daily dose of movie news, reviews, interviews, and trailers. And Drew, where can they find you when you're not contributing to Nerdtropolis?
Yeah, you can find me at Drew Munhausen on all the different social media platforms. You can find me over at Letterboxd, where you can see all the movies that I watched in the past month, especially with the film festival. I've logged everything that I watched. So there's a lot of content there, and would love to interact with you all there.
Also, don't forget to catch up on past episodes of the Moviegoers Society and tune into my podcast, Real Insights, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and of course, the Nerdtropolis YouTube channel. I have so many great interviews already up on there, but I did talk to someone that was on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. You can kind of guess who maybe that is, but they are on the new NBC show Found. And also, I spoke to someone from Parks and Rec. Very lengthy conversation about Parks and Rec. I would say maybe his name rhymes with Larry or Gary. If you're a mega fan like I am, I think you can figure out who I spoke to. But so there's a lot more coming as well. Also some fun ones like from Are You Smarter Than a Celebrity? I spoke to some of the celebrities on that upcoming show for Prime Video. So much stuff, Drew. I mean, it's kind of exciting. And also I'll be at New York Comic Con in a few weeks on top of that, doing some things. And you were just at a festival, and we get into that. But I did get, Friends. Were you a Friends fan?
No, yes, absolutely. I came to Friends later in life, actually. I had older sisters that loved the show, but I was like a little too young to really care about it when it was in its heyday. But I have since revisited that series and watched every episode. So while some of it hasn't aged, miraculously, I think that show actually holds up. A lot of people like to hate on it in hindsight. I think that show is fantastic.
Well, Drew, I think maybe this is for you, is this 4K collection of Friends, which just celebrated its 30th anniversary, 30 years of Friends, complete series 4K. The great folks at Warner Brothers sent this to me. I mean, this is an awesome box set, I'm not going to lie. Has a little bit of everything in there. You got 5 discs and a bonus disc. I mean, so iconic show, definitely love it. This is something for the person that loves Friends and never seen Friends. Maybe you want to watch it for the first time. This is the way to do it in 4K, which is really cool. Also, Rick and Morty fan? Are you a Rick and Morty fan, Drew?
Yes, I am.
So simply, all he has to say is, yes, I am. And we'll get right to it. Seasons 1 through 7, right now, the complete series available. They've been like on top of this. They've been releasing all these like complete series for its time. So there's a lot of complete series out there. What is it, 1 through 5, and then all of a sudden 6 is coming out. So that's pretty awesome.
As a physical media collector, I love it. I feel like it's being overlooked now a lot these days, especially with a lot of retail stores having gotten rid of their physical media sections. It's nice to see some of the different studios still putting time and effort into these releases.
Yeah, and there's a lot of awesome Rick and Morty episodes. So, I mean, this is a must-have. So you got Rick and Morty, the complete series 1 through 7, and then obviously Friends in 4K. Like, that's awesome. I love that. And I do want to mention, we are the Moviegoers Society Podcast. So I do have some fun stuff for y'all on, everywhere you can find it. I'm posting about it. First off, we have an advanced screening page on nerdtropolis.com. Right now on there, I believe there's passes for Smile 2 in multiple major cities, and also Piece by Piece, which is a great biopic of Pharrell Williams, super talented artist. But Smile 2 and Piece by Piece, we have advanced screenings for that. Additionally, I've been giving away passes for Never Let Go, Megalopolis, and Joker 2. So you know what I'm going to do is, if you're watching this and you're leaving a comment, I'm just going to automatically enter you to win passes of your choice, any of those 3 films. And if you want to attend a free advanced screening to Smile 2 or Piece by Piece, just go to nerdtropolis.com. Tons of movies, Drew. And we have a lot to talk about. And we have a special guest that I know is waiting to jump on here. But we want to talk real quick about Fantastic Fest. How was your Fantastic Fest? How fantastic was your Fantastic Fest experience?
I had a really good experience this year. Last year, you experienced this too. We had a lot of issues with ticketing. Some of those problems persisted this year for a lot of people, but I was fortunate enough to get into most of the movies that I wanted to get into at the festival. I saw somewhere upwards of like 24 or 25 movies while I was there over the course of a week, which is a lot. But you have to give credit to the folks at Bonds PR and Alamo Drafthouse and all those that put on this film festival, because it's a really well-oiled machine, and that Alamo Drafthouse South Lamar in Austin is such a great venue for it. Just all the theaters there are in use. You don't have to go anywhere else. It makes it such an easy festival to go to. If you've never been to a film festival and you want to, it's a great first festival because it's pretty user-friendly. They also had really great celebrity appearances this year. I feel like the lineup of celebrities that were there was very strong. The first night they did the world premiere of Alexandra Aja's Never Let Go, starring Halle Berry. And she was there, and she actually came around and visited all the different theaters. Because if at Fantastic Fest, sometimes they're showing the same movie in multiple theaters, and they'll simulcast a Q&A that's happening in one of the theaters to the rest of them. Halle Berry came and actually went from theater to theater to say hi to everybody, which I thought was really nice. That same night, I got to see Terrifier 3, which gets a lot of buzz in the horror community, and just super gory and crazy there, even if the plot makes little to no sense. I'm trying to think. I can obviously, it's way too much to go through every single movie that I saw, but I did want to do some highlights. They had a secret screening. The first secret screening was Saturday night, the Saturday Night Live film by Jason Reitman about the first recording of the first live episode of Saturday Night Live. And I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. And that was a really fun secret screening. Of course, everybody was amped for that because it's one that everybody wanted to see. So that's exciting. Let's see. I saw Anora, which is going to be I think a pretty big awards contender this year. The new film from Sean Baker. Really enjoyed that one. The Wild Robot, we'll talk about that here later. Will and Harper, which is now on Netflix with Will Ferrell. He was there in attendance with Harper Steele, who the documentary focuses on.
And let's put that on the docket too, because I believe our guests also watched that too, and I did as well. So we can mention that as well, because that was a really great and insightful watch and something totally different that we don't see when it comes to films and documentaries.
Yeah, absolutely. Sebastian Stan was there to present A Different Man with Adam Pearson and the director of the film. And then he came back out for the secret screening that night where they showed The Apprentice, which is the movie where he plays Donald Trump. Pretty mixed reception on that one there, but we can talk about that one at a later time, maybe when it gets wide released. Heretic was a big secret screening as well. And that was much speculated by a lot of people that it would be there, and it lived up to the hype. So that was exciting. Yeah, I think that's some of the big highlights I wanted to mention. And then after spending a week at a festival seeing movies, I got back and immediately went to the theater and saw Transformers 1 like a crazy person. So we'll talk about that here. But yeah, just a lot of really good stuff at the festival. At first glance, I thought the lineup was just okay. And then in execution, it ended up being really good. I saw a lot of great movies there, and everything at the festival flowed really well. So just a big props, accolades to those that put it on, to booking the guests, to booking the films, everything involved. I know it takes a lot. And I thought it was a really successful festival.
Yeah, I'm sad I missed out on, but I was kind of working in the background with you. And then we got some of your reviews up already for Terrifier 3. We got also Saturday Night is on there. We got your Wild Robot, which you got to watch there. That's the one film from the 3 lineups we're talking today I didn't get to watch. But our special guest also watched all of them. So, but a lot to talk about too. And we have more reviews from Drew. I mean, we got more coverage coming from Fantastic Fest and stuff he's watched. We're just trying to spread it out so y'all can enjoy them because we have a lot of reviews. I mean, just looking up what I just recently dropped, I got to watch that Christopher Reeve documentary, Superman, the Christopher Reeve story. Also, I watched Wolves, starring George Clooney and Brad Pitt. My review is up on that. Obviously, Megalopolis, we're going to talk about. My review is up on that. Never Let Go. And also The Penguin and Tulsa King season 2. Some great television. I have reviewed those. So there's a lot. So you got the reviews.
The festival really put me behind on television. It's disappointing. I haven't gotten to watch The Penguin or Agatha all along yet. So those are on my list to catch up on this week now that I'm back and getting into some sort of groove of normalcy again.
I mean, we're going to have more episodes, it seems like, I feel like, or a lot more topics to talk about. So we do have 3 movies we want to talk about, but Drew, it's time to bring in our special guest, who is an entertainment journalist, actually for hire, really talented, a podcaster and a fellow nerd. We're going to introduce Jamie Jirak, the one and only Jamie Jirak, joining us on the Moviegoers Society podcast. Hello.
Thank you for having me.
We're super excited. We didn't want to keep you waiting any longer. We're like, we got to speed this up, get her in. And look at that background she has. It's putting mine to shame, actually, to be honest. Give us a little tour real quick of what's behind you.
Oh, we've got my John Travolta collection up top. I collect John Travolta memorabilia. Below that's my TV shelf, a lot of Buffy stuff. And then we got 2 rows of Marvel. And then over here, I got my Star Wars stuff all on this shelf.
Oh my God. Look at that. That is amazing. And that whole library behind you too. I love that.
Oh yeah. Obviously we got all the movies here.
How many people do you think, in addition to you, have entire shelves devoted to John Travolta?
Oh, I hope it's just me, because he did once call me his biggest fan. So I wear that really proudly.
If you could get that as a certificate or something to hang up, I would.
Guinness, let's go.
We're super excited to have you here. I'm, very casual podcast here. And with our schedules, we try to pencil it in, but it's been crazy. Drew was just at Fantastic Fest, actually. And then I went up to New York, where I got to go to the X Mansion because my sister won that Airbnb contest. People win those contests, surprisingly. So that's really cool. And I have a little video of that on my Instagram and Twitter. So I mean, that's a real deal Airbnb. It was awesome.
I was gonna say, do you actually get to stay there or just tour it?
We toured it, so the stays were over. And I know, Jamie, have you gone there? I know your fellow colleague BD went.
Yeah.
And he got the whole awesome press tour and all that stuff. But I felt lucky my sister won. I was just like, people win these things. What a small cool chance. But we had a day, we had about 3.5 hours there, which was awesome. They did so great. Like, just everyone there, quality people. I'll call them students. We got students and teachers there from the X-Men school, they did a really great job. It's wild, the story behind the house and who owns it, and they just stumble upon it, and it looks exactly like the X Mansion from the outside. But obviously they did all that stuff inside, was really cool. And while we're up there in New York, we went to Sleepy Hollow. We kind of made a fun trip with it. A memorable experience for sure, especially, with X-Men 97 and us growing up an X-Men fan. I think all of us can say, that animated show is a special place in our hearts. And it's exciting that they did that. So good job, Marvel, Disney, Airbnb. We have 3 movies here, Jamie, we're going to be talking about. You're the only one that's seen all 3 of them. So you get the gold you get the gold star.
I'm ready.
You're the gold star. I've missed one between the 3 that we're talking about, and Drew as well missed one. So it works though. That's why we wanted you on here.
Perfect.
We needed you here for this.
I'm ready. I don't even know what all 3 are.
I
can't wait to find out.
I know, but
we're
going to know. I do want to start off with Transformers 1. And that's the one that we all got to see. Jamie, let's start off with you about your love for Transformers. When did it begin? Where's your fandom with Transformers?
Great question. Non-existent.
Nothing at all.
So when like the Michael Bay movie came out, I saw that for sure, and then I saw maybe the next two. I remember the last time I saw a Transformers movie, I took my best friend's little cousins, and they were young, and now they are like grown men. So that had to have been like 13 years ago. And so, but I thought, I was like, this is a prequel. I can go in and maybe enjoy it. I hear it's really good. My friend wanted to go. And what's so funny is it was kind of like, I imagine if you go see Phantom Menace without seeing the original trilogy first, because it took me half the movie to realize, I'm like, oh, that's supposed to be Optimus Prime. I had no idea. I didn't know what the movie was about. But I actually quite enjoyed it. I thought the animation was really cool, but like I have no history. I've never watched any animated stuff. I never played with the toys. I'm like a bottom tier fandom.
But that's good though, because we want to see how this film does for people like yourselves, and that's a lot of the audience as well, because this is a story that really has not been told in mainstream. It's touched on previously in the other animated shows, but it's not been explored, this like origin story, which is exciting. What about Drew? Drew, how long has your fandom been for Transformers?
So I was going to say, Jamie, if it's any solace to you, I had similar thoughts with it where I was like, is this T16 guy going to be Megatron? Like, is that what's happening? I was kind of in the same boat. No, I mean, full transparency, I have older sisters, so I didn't get introduced to Transformers as a 90s kid by like older brothers or anything like that who would have grown up with them in the 80s. So really my introduction to Transformers was more through Beast Wars, because that was kind of popular when I was younger, and I really liked those toys. So I mean, really my real diving into of Transformers and the lore was in the 2007 movie also. So I've seen all the Transformers movies, including the Rise of the Beasts that came out when was that, a year or two ago, which I thought was very silly fun. So, an origin movie like this in animated form, I'll just say I really enjoyed. I know we're going to dive into it, but I thought it was fantastic, and I can kind of expand on that as we really jump into it. So, because I don't know all the Transformers lore, and sometimes when you start throwing out these different words like Cybertron, Energon, yada, yada, it's all, my head starts spinning, but they made it very fun and accessible for what it is in this movie.
I must say, I guess I'm some of the ultimate Transformers fan. I technically have a real Transformer. My 68 Plymouth police car is a Decepticop, I call it. It has barricade in a G1 mode. It says to punish and enslave. It has Decepticon logos all over that classic car. The kids love it. Let them get in it. It has bullet holes. It has claw marks on it. So I guess you can call me a Transformers.
Wow.
Yeah. I got real life Transformers, so I guess I win this game. But I grew up with like Beast Wars and was it Beast Machines or whatever they were calling that, two different shows. The toys were cool because the cheetah would turn into a Transformer. Really awesome toys. And obviously when, the first movie came out with Shia LaBeouf, and, they had the Camaro, and that's when the first Camaro came out. I actually have a car club out here, Jamie, if you didn't know, that I operate. And so like when that car came out, everyone was like, that's hot. Like that's a cool car to have. So we had a lot of those in the car club, which was really cool. And so I was excited, we're going back to animation. I like the last film. I like it's going to be a crossover at G.I. Joe for that sequel. But I was all in. First off, when the voice cast was announced, and we'll start with you, Jamie, what did you think? Because personally, I was like, how is this going to work? But all my, not issues, but what I was worried about just went away quickly. But what do you think about the voice cast when it's announced?
So I knew about Chris Hemsworth, Brian Tyree Henry, and Scarlett Johansson because I've written about the movie at my previous job that I no longer work at. And so I knew those three, but then people kept coming up in the movie that I was like, Steve Buscemi? Steve's in this, my boy. Like I had no idea. And the only voice I could not clock was John Hamm. The whole movie, I'm like, who the heck is this? It's driving me crazy. But I thought everyone was great. I do feel like, you hear like those three main people are all Marvel actors. So you're like, God, like these guys in a franchise again. But I didn't really feel that. I thought they all did a fine job.
What about you, Drew?
Yeah, I actually thought I'm with you. I thought that Chris Hemsworth was probably the one that I'm most skeptical about because Peter Cullen has been Optimus Prime for just forever. So, but that being said, I forgot that it was Chris Hemsworth really fast in the movie, and I thought he fit the character really well, especially having the young Optimus Prime, or Orion Pax, as he's called here, being kind of like this rebellious bot works with the Chris Hemsworth kind of attitude and persona behind it. I actually thought it really worked.
Yeah, I was skeptical at first with Chris Hemsworth. I was like, just because he's Chris, is that why they're hiring him? But while I was watching this, his voice works perfectly, actually. And he's actually a really good voice actor because he modifies his voice. And it makes sense. And then I don't want to spoil anything, but we do get some different voices towards the end. And I'm like, I don't want to say it, Peter Cullen's not around. He's up there in age. This is going to be our Optimus, even in live action, I believe, in some aspects, voicing it, because I thought he nailed it. And he does have, like, Chris Hemsworth has that rasp or that voice. He can go low like that. And I loved it. Everyone's really good. I'm going to say, Steve Buscemi, perfect casting right there for Buscemi, the Bushman. And I thought Scarlett Johansson was great. I loved all the voices. I watched the animated show on Paramount Plus, so I'm very familiar with like the new animated shows and the voices. And to me, the big names, they weren't in my head when I was watching this movie. I was like, oh, this is this and this is this. I was like, no, I'm just taking it as a fresh piece of animation fun. But Keegan-Michael Key, Stealer, like scene stealer, and he's just playing himself. And I'm like, that can easily be Bumblebee. Like, he just nailed it on that. So I'm going to ask y'all, who's your favorite, maybe favorite voice or favorite Transformer that was in this film?
Oh boy. Voice, I'm just such a big Steve Buscemi fan. Like, the first tattoo I ever got was a Reservoir Dogs tattoo. And but Keegan-Michael Key, I don't think the hardest I've laughed in the last week, I think, was, this is the best day of my life. I get to work for the government. I laughed so hard. He's just so funny. So I think it always comes down to Bumblebee. I think, like, I remember that from the earlier movies too. Like, Bumblebee's always the best.
Yeah, I agree. What about you, Drew?
I'm in the same boat. I liked Keegan-Michael Key as Bumblebee a lot. I actually liked John Hamm as Sentinel Prime. Also, I didn't know he was in the movie, and as I was watching it, I was like, "Is that John Hamm's voice?" Because he has kind of that smarm that you need for the character, and it worked really well. But just to also say, with Keegan-Michael Key, who's just coming in and playing, Toad in the Super Mario Brothers movie and Bumblebee in Transformers 1, just what a reliable voice to just come in and play some of these great supporting parts. And I appreciate it. I also, when I saw this in theaters, I don't know if y'all had this experience, but it had the classic Chris Hemsworth and Brian Tyree Henry and Keegan-Michael Key did the video of like thanking everyone for coming to the theater, where they're pre-recorded beforehand, them in live action doing it. So immediately, that these three are in the movie and you're extremely aware of it. I for one, would petition to stop those thanking people for being in the theater, but they did it for this, which I thought was odd.
I just saw The Substance and they did it for that. And I was so annoyed because they were showing clips while Demi and Margaret were talking. And I'm like, don't show me clips of this movie. I'm about to watch this movie. I was really annoyed by it. And then I have a big issue with the one before the Fall Guy, because they were making jokes about having your phone out, but they were not being, they were like, just hide it. Do this. No, don't have your phone out at all. You're sending mixed signals. So yeah, I agree. Let's eradicate those, please.
The less we have before the film's, the better. No one's there for really I'm there for the trailer sometimes, because honestly, the press screenings, we don't get trailers. And that's like the one thing I miss sometimes. But I don't need 30 minutes of trailers, advertisements. Thank you for not doing this. I don't need any of that stuff. Even the countdown for like the theater chain has their own commercials on top of that. So I don't need that. But I'm with y'all. But I must say, Steve Buscemi as Starscream is perfection. Like, he needs to be the voice the whole time for any type of Transformers project. But also, I thought Lawrence Fishburne fit this world great. I think everyone really fit their character. I think, them making this film, a lot of love went into this. I could tell from this that a lot of passion, a lot of OG fans made this film, but it's also for a new audience. Y'all have a lot of kids in your screenings?
No, I went in the middle of the day on a Wednesday, and I saw it in IMAX because that's what my friend wanted to see, which was really aggressive. Like it was like the real legit City Walk IMAX too. But so I don't think there was a single child in there.
What you, Drew?
I went in the middle of the day on a Friday as well, so it was pretty empty, and it had already been out for a week because I was catching up after the festival. That being said, I do want to just say about this movie, I'm just going to come out and say that this is probably the best Transformers movie I've seen. As somebody that's not like the biggest Transformers head by any means, I enjoyed this a lot more than I expected to. I think it's the best Transformers movie. And there's something to be said about these franchises where they've tried to transition them into live action, and then you start to get kind of diminishing returns. We saw this with Turtles, we've seen it with Transformers, and now you're going back to animation and getting some of the better entries in these franchises now returning to animation. And I think there's something to be said about that, because I thought this was great. We know Mutant Mayhem, Sean, you're the biggest Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan that I've talked to. And I know that you love to put that movie, hype that movie up. And I love that movie too. And there's something to be said about some of these franchises just reverting back to their origins that really works.
Yeah, and speaking of Turtles, and I want to mention this, I'm kind of disappointed about the box office numbers for Transformers 1 until it hit some major international markets. Mutant Mayhem had the same problem, but most of these films make a lot of money because of the toys. The toys make so much money. I mean, I got some toys here. I got some Transformers somewhere around here. So that's really the great part of it. Like, even though it doesn't do well in theaters, the toys really do help. But it's sad to see some of the low numbers, just like we saw for Mutant Mayhem. But I had a lot of adults obviously in my theaters, and they actually seem to like it just as much as the kids, because there's a lot of jokes for the adults as well, and especially from Bumblebee himself. Those are the best jokes as well. Jamie, you guys see this IMAX, which I'm super jealous. I had an invite for the IMAX screening, but I didn't get a chance to. I saw just a standard screen. How was it in IMAX?
I'll be honest, it didn't. I don't think it mattered. Like I said, it did feel a little aggressive. Like it was like a lot was going on. I prefer Dolby personally. I really like to see stuff in Dolby. But it was cool. But there are other movies, like I believe we're going to talk about Megalopolis. I would have rather have seen that in IMAX. But it was, if you have the chance, yeah, why not go see it in IMAX? But it wasn't. I don't think it enhanced the experience.
Drew, where did you see it in?
I saw it in Dolby and had a great experience. So it looked and sounded great.
Well, I just saw it in standard theater. That's what they offered. I know. I'm like, we sometimes rate films, Jamie. Sometimes we don't. Usually when we do our reviews online, they're rated and stuff like that. But we want to put you on the spot just because. So out of 5 stars, what would you give Transformers 1?
Okay, first of all, thank you for doing the Letterboxd format. That I bless you. Really appreciate it. I gave it a 3.5 on Letterboxd. It was the third act that really saved it for me. I really liked the third act. I thought it lulled a little in the middle, and I especially was like, I don't subscribe to this is a boy thing or a girl thing because I grew up on Power Rangers and Star Wars, but I genuinely don't think I've ever seen a more of a boy movie in my life. Like I really try not to label things that way. I don't think I've ever said that. Called something a boy movie ever, but I was like, this is really what this is. The girl's pink. Yeah, I did ultimately think it was good and the animation was good, so I gave it a 3.5.
Would you watch a sequel?
Maybe. If it was the same thing, like I only saw this because a friend asked me to go with them. If it was like that, I don't think I would rush out. But if I ended up in that theater, I wouldn't be mad about it.
That's fair. Drew, let's put you on the spot. Give it a star rating.
So I gave just a little half-star bump. I'd give it 4 stars out of 5. And I think that's mostly just because, I've seen all these Transformers movies since the first Michael Bay one. And I think the first one's the only one I've actually seen more than once. The other ones I've only seen once, and they all kind of blur together to me. I know there's one that has dinosaurs in it, and there's, of course, the Beast Wars one. But this one at least just stood out to me, maybe because I had lower expectations, and I thought it was really memorable, and I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought. So yeah, I'm gonna be generous. I'm gonna give it a 4 stars out of 5.
Thank you for your generosity. That means a lot to me. As the ultimate Transformers fan, and I gave it a 5 out of 5, obviously, is what I did.
Yeah,
5 out of 5
that.
star screams is what I gave it. So there's a Steve Buscemi callback right there. I thought it was super exciting. I love the emotion in it. Beautifully animated, and I love the cast. I just thought as a Transformers fan, it's everything I wanted. I didn't want anything more or less. More as in I want a sequel. I want to see more of this. I thought really great as showing us the backstory of these two later on would be like horrible enemies to each other. But there's a lot of lore, and this movie showed us that there's actually a deeper story and a bigger story than what we saw in the Michael Bay films, which are really, not all of them are great, but they're fun. They're crazy. They're ridiculous. And I think this one kind of grounded it a little bit more and be like, it's a story about more than what you think. You know, Cybertron went through a lot of stuff. Even prior to this film, there's actually a deeper backstory than we don't even know about. So that's what I like about this franchise. There's a lot to tell us, and hopefully we get more. But a great animated film, and we have another animated film we're going to talk about, but I didn't get to see that one yet. So we're going to jump into something Jamie and I got to see. Drew, you have not seen Megalopolis? How dare you?
So they actually showed Megalopolis at Fantastic Fest.
Oh, they did?
But they only had 2 screens devoted to it, and it was at the same time as one of the secret screenings. And I really wanted to see what the secret screening was. It ended up being Better Man, which is the biopic about the British pop singer Robbie Williams. I don't know if y'all have heard of this movie. It doesn't come out until I think December or January, but it's just a biopic about his life, but he's portrayed as a monkey for no reason other than he's a monkey. Everybody else is, it's all live action, but he's like a CG monkey. And he came on before the movie to say that it's just because that's how he always saw himself as a performer. So it's supposed to add like a unique flair to it, but otherwise it's like a pretty traditional music biopic directed by Michael Gracie, who did The Greatest Showman. So just really interesting movie. That's what I saw. And but I kind of wish that I had seen Megalopolis, but those screenings were sold out at the festival, so I couldn't get in. So I have not had a chance to catch up on it yet, but it sounds like I'm with the rest of America considering its box office gross from this past weekend.
Jamie's like, I want to see this movie that Drew's talking about.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I do.
Obviously, as the mayor of Nerdtropolis, I had to go visit Megalopolis. You know, I had to see what they're up to, maybe steal some notes, see how they're developing their city, what they're doing and not doing so great. I must say, Francis Ford Coppola, legend, a lot of great films. Everyone gave a lot of hate, as these were screening, in festivals and stuff like that. I'm like, it can't be that bad. Like, come on, he's a quality, it's a quality filmmaker. But to be honest, I didn't hate it when I watched it. I'll be straight up. I did not hate it. I kind of took it as like an art house style film with a huge budget, very ambitious and daring film that really showcased like this guy is 80 something now. He's still fearless. He's creative. He wants to do his vision that he's had since the 80s, something he really wanted to do. And I'll just start off there. Jamie, what did you know before walking into the theater, and then your experience, and it all unfolded? What were you thinking? You're like, is this real? Am I dreaming? What is going on?
I had, seen the trailer. I knew how much Coppola had, all the trouble that it caused, all the money he spent himself. He's been trying to make this movie forever, since before I was alive. And so, I go in with kind of a respect for what this man has gone through to make this movie. And I have some friends who were like, it's a masterpiece. And I really wanted to be on their side, but I am not on their side. But also my boyfriend, Tony, walked out of it like, he hated it so much. He despised it. And I was not quite that. There are things I liked about it. There were, which I'm sure we'll get into like the deeper stuff. I thought some of the cast was fantastic. I thought one person in particular was not very good. And the visuals I thought were awesome, but also none of it made sense. Like I genuinely want to see what the script looks like, because it's nonsense. There's so much going on in this movie that just characters, they're changing all the time, like what their motives are. What one scene these people hate each other, the next scene they're friends, then they hate each other again. Like he doesn't know what he's doing. At one point, since Drew, we haven't seen it, I won't say, but there's a character who dies, and I think they forgot about the actor, and they were like, "Oh shit, we got to insert a death scene," and like then they're just like flashback to a death real quick. Like it's just one of the messiest movies I've ever seen, and there is kind of a beauty in that for sure. And ultimately, I respect Coppola for just going for it.
I feel like following the social media reaction to this has been really fun because it definitely is divided. You've either got those that are just memeing it to hell, like just so many memes coming out of this quickly, which is kind of shocking considering how little people have seen it. But there's just memes all over. But then there's a lot of people that do seem to be defending it, that are really on board. Maybe not saying it's the best movie ever, but at least defending its, what it's trying to do and going for it and so on. And it's all, both sides of it are only making me more excited to see it. This was been on my most anticipated list. Like when I was doing podcasts back in December, January, I've like, what are you looking forward to the most? This was at the top of my list. So I'm kind of embarrassed that I haven't seen it yet, but it's just the timing of everything. So yeah, I can't wait. I wish I had more to add to it at this point.
I don't know if it's going to be in theaters by the time you end up watching it. I feel like it's going to be a quick exit, unfortunately, which is sad. I mean, so it's a Roman epic set, in modern America and, the fictional city of New Rome. And it is a trip. It reminds me of something that would have came out like mid 2000s, like that weird sci-fi stuff that had some weird meaning behind it. And you didn't know what was going on and a lot of confusion. But what a cast, I would say what a cast this film has. Starring Adam Driver. I will watch anything Adam Driver is in. Yeah, he's one of my favorites. If someone told me to name my favorite actor right now, Adam Driver for the last 5, 6, 7 years, I think, has been it. When I was growing up, I really loved like George Clooney and Brad Pitt and all that stuff. When Fight Club came out, I was like, oh, I'm on team Brad Pitt. Now I'm on like team Adam Driver. Anything he's in, I will watch it. It could be horrible. I'll watch it still. So Jamie, who was your standout? I kind of know who your standouts were, but let's go for it.
Yeah, no one will be surprised to hear that Aubrey Plaza was my standout. Not just because I think she's like one of the hottest people on earth. Like, I think that one of the things about, like I said, it's like such a messy script. And I think you have to have a deep well of talent to be able to pull something from whatever Coppola is trying. And I think that Aubrey and Shia LaBeouf were the two people that really understood that. And I do think it has to be mentioned that Coppola put some questionable men in this movie. He put Shia LaBeouf in this movie. He put Jon Voight in this movie. He put some men who are not necessarily known to be good people. And I hate that because they were also some of the best people in this movie. And that makes me mad because I'm like, why'd you do this, Coppola? Like, why do you make me like Shia LaBeouf in this movie? Because he is really good in this movie. And my favorite scene is a scene with Jon Voight, Aubrey Plaza, and Shia LaBeouf. That's my favorite scene in the movie. So, okay. But Adam Driver, I think, is great. But I also think that because he's supposed to carry this movie, there are times where I don't think he really knows what this character is necessarily supposed to be. There are times where he gets really weird, and I like those moments. Whereas Tony was like, I hated that because it just didn't feel normal for this character. But I do want to say I did not care for Natalie Emmanuel's performance. I really like her in like the Fast movies, Game of Thrones, but I think she's very one note, and I think she sucked the air out of every scene she was in, and she's a very big part of this movie. You need, in a movie like this, a weirdo, like big brained theater actor, kind of an actor to play a part like this opposite Adam Driver. And I wanted to like her, but I just don't think she quite is there as a craft. I don't know if acting is her craft so much as driving big cars is her craft, and like, punch is her craft, which I respect. I do really like her, but I don't think this was the project for her.
Aubrey Plaza goes all out. Did you like that Parks and Rec call out? Did you notice it? Are you a Parks and Rec fan by chance?
I am. I have a Parks and Rec tattoo, but I didn't notice it. What was it?
There is a scene. It's maybe spoilers, but not really. But she's unveiling the statue. What does she say? Do you not remember?
No.
She says, "Damn it, Jerry.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I did clock that. You're right. I 100% clocked that in the moment. It's just that felt like 50 hours ago.
Right, and there's a lot going on. By the time
the movie ended, that was. I actually did clock that, but wow, I already forgot.
Because I was surprised that even happened. I was like, "What is going on?" The funny thing is, a few days later, I spoke to Jerry himself, Jim O'Hare, and I told him. He's like, "I just saw Aubrey. She didn't tell me anything." I'm like, "Well, Jerry makes an invisible cameo in Megalopolis. He's working there now, apparently, and there's some Parks and Rec stuff going on. They have their own Parks and Recreation department at Megalopolis, and Jerry is somehow there in charge of a statue. But yeah, Shia and Aubrey were all in, and I understand what John Voight was talking about. Like, they're truly the stars, I guess, of the film too, because of their performances and how crazy it was. And they do have a lot of screen time. It's not really just Adam Driver. It's them two as well.
Did either of your screenings, just curious, have the live action interaction with the film? Because I know that's been a thing.
No, I think it'll say IMAX interactive, I think is what the key word is. And I didn't need that. No, thanks. I'm fine.
Does it make that scene awkward, or is it clear where that's supposed to happen?
I went to the bathroom and I came back and I was like, oh no, I think I missed the scene. It was like the tail end of it, of what I think that moment was. But from the moment I caught, I don't think it mattered.
I obviously went to like I don't know if it was the world premiere or something. They had like the Q&A before, and they showed it, and they had like the little saying like there is a live aspect to this thing. And I kind of knew about it, and I knew who was going to do it. But then when it came on, I was like, where is he? Like, I don't see him doing his part. Like, what is going on? I think they either skipped it, which was okay. I didn't like realize it got skipped per se. I was like, I guess this is the scene, but they're not doing it. It's not necessary. But I've seen clips, and it's just someone playing a reporter. And asking a question as a reporter, and then he just replies back, and that's it. So it's interesting though, because a lot of theaters did get that experience, and not really necessary, but interesting. And there's a big warning in front. You're like, who's this heckler coming down to the microphone? It's open mic night at Megalopolis. Do your own performance. So yeah, I didn't get to experience that. Dustin Hoffman's in here, and I thought he was so underutilized. I was like, what are you doing with Dustin Hoffman here? He's too good for this, first of all. Horrible. I don't want to say that, but like he's like very iconic and legendary. I'm like, give him a better part than whatever he was playing.
100%. I think I felt that way about Dustin Hoffman, but I also felt that way about Jason Schwartzman, because I love Jason Schwartzman, and he was in the background having fun. He was somebody who like really was tuned in, but he's family. Like he's, he was like eye on the prize. And I'm like, give me more Schwartzman, because I felt like he was kind of doing what he was doing in the Hunger Games movie, which was just peak having so much fun. And so I felt more about Schwartzman than Dustin Hoffman, because I agree though. Dustin Hoffman's like, why are you here? Other than you're like, I want to work with Coppola.
Yeah, pretty much. And yeah, Schwartzman's character is very like reminiscent of his others. And his mom's in it too, obviously. Talia Shire, which is obviously Coppola's sister. What a family. I mean, this is wild, that family tree. I think it's too large to print.
Where's Cage? Why isn't Nick Cage in this movie?
That would have been great.
Perfect for this movie.
Adam Driver's role should have been Cage.
Ooh, I would have come out 5 stars.
It should have just been a family movie. Like that's what he did do. Just cast everyone that's related to him in some aspect and just do that. But I appreciate what he was doing. The messaging is actually pretty decent. What they're trying to say, and some of the themes I understood. But like I said, it felt like an experimental sci-fi film from the 2010s. Stuff that we used to see back in there. What was that? There was like a Matthew McConaughey like sci-fi film about like time travel, if I'm mistaken, or something about time. From the 2000. Drew, do you remember?
This is not ringing a bell.
Something I remember from back then, but it just reminded me of stuff like that just goes over your head at times, and you're like, what is going on in front of me?
I want to say though, because sometimes like I'm a big Lynch fan, and I feel like sometimes Lynch, like you come out of a Lynch movie like, oh, I'm not 100% sure what's going on, but it's clear that Lynch does. I don't know if it's clear that Coppola knows what he's trying to say. I do think like the idea of like this futuristic trying to build a utopia, all that, there's something there, but I don't think Coppola was 100% sure in his brain what he was going for. Like I left in a confused way that wasn't the kind of confused I think I'm supposed to be sometimes, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's a film that you're just there for the trip. And I wonder how many people are going in like under the influence of something too.
I wish I had been. Like, I truly, like, I saw like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm like, this isn't the way. She's like, I wish I was on shrooms or something.
I mean, I'm sure a lot of people making this film were. I mean, Shia LaBeouf, obviously he's recovering from everything that he's been on. So, but I wonder like what his mindset was going into this, because his performance, I've never seen anything like this from him, and he's actually a really good actor. What was the one that was kind of about his own life? It's like a biopic. Is it called Honey?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that he said was a
Honey
lie
Boy.
anyway. Honey Boy.
Yeah.
That he was like, oh no, my dad never actually abused me.
I know, right? But he had a great performance in that, though. That was actually a solid performance from him, and so I'm glad to see him in this. And I'm a fan of his, despite his craziness and everything he's done. His performances have always been pretty interesting and solid. Like he does have talent there. But Aubrey Plaza, right? MVP, are we gonna say right there?
Yeah.
And when you get Drew, when you have the three of them, Shia, John Voight, and Aubrey in the room, all shit hits the fan. I feel like
I haven't even seen the movie, and Aubrey Plaza is my MVP of it. So I mean,
I will say runner up might be John Voight, to be honest. There's a couple of scenes where you're just like, he's all in. Like he's having, at his age, he's up for it. Like he's not done acting. He's going to act his ass off and go overboard and just give you some very memorable lines. I don't want to repeat here, but they're in my head. That's for sure. Let's give it a rating. Jamie, let's give it a rating. How low would you go? That's the question.
I gave it a 3, which is, for some would seem generous, for some would seem, I almost gave it a 3.5 just out of like respect. But then I thought about it. I'm like, it's just not really a good movie. Like, it's just not. There's so many things you can pull from it, because like, I felt like I was being tricked, because I really did love the weird visuals. There's so many weird visual choices, and I liked that. But I kind of afterwards realized I liked it because it was distracting me from the fact that this movie was making me feel nothing. I felt nothing for any of these characters, any of these people. Like I just didn't, and I'm easy to please. So I think three is where I landed, which again, could be considered generous or could be considered mean. Whoever, I don't know.
That is generous. I'll go super generous. I'm at 3.5. I mean, it is such a bold and ambitious film, and despite whatever say about the story, like it's a quality looking film. Like it's actually a really good looking film and really well done as in visually, and just how crazy this whole film is. And it just felt like a really expensive indie film. That's how it is. But we do have one last movie that I'm sad I didn't get to see, because The Wild Robot and Megalopolis were at the same time for the press screening. And I'm like, how are you making us choose? But luckily, Drew got to watch this at Fantastic Fest. And so the mayor will take a seat back here. Let Drew and Jamie handle The Wild Robot. And I want it to sell it to me, please. Just sell it to me. That's y'all's goal here. Sell it to me. But I already know it's great, pretty much. Everyone's been saying it.
Jamie, do you want to start?
Oh, I mean, sure. I will say a beautiful, such great animation, amazing cast. I will say, it seems to me I'm not as high on it as literally everyone else. I dozed off a little in the middle. I did. I thought the second act was a bit dragged a bit. Everyone's like, I cried so hard, and I didn't cry. I'll tell you, the two new movies that made me sob my eyes out were My Old Ass and, for some reason, Saturday Night. Those movies like eviscerated me emotionally, and this movie didn't do that the way that it seems to be for other people. But I still had a really good time. I really did enjoy it. It was a very sweet movie with again a banger cast.
This one might be festival bump for me, to be honest with you. It was my, I think, third day of Fantastic Fest. I had just seen 5 movies the day before, and had ended actually a Saturday night was the movie I'd seen the previous night. And then The Wild Robot was the first movie I saw the next morning. And I kind of went in, to be honest with you, I thought the trailer for this movie looked like the movie was going to be slow or something, like, because the initial trailer that came out is really just the robot kind of exploring and being on this island and interacting with some wildlife, and that was it. And I thought this movie, once it really started, it really moved along, and I found myself really invested in it. And I might have teared up a couple times in the movie, and it just really, it kind of blew me away. And I had an emotional reaction to it. I also have children, so that might add to it. And I did make sure that my daughter went and saw it, as she's 4, and saw it this past weekend because I enjoyed it so much. So I really liked it. And I thought, considering Sean and I have talked a lot on the show about animation styles, and especially with things like Spider-Verse and Mutant Mayhem that do really interesting things with animation. And this is a little bit more traditional, but yet it's still really beautiful. Like I thought the animation style was fantastic. So yeah, I had an emotional reaction. I thought that this really moved along, and I enjoyed it a lot more than I expected to. And yeah, this is probably my favorite animated movie of the year so far. I think it's going to be a contender in the awards race for animated film. I really, really enjoyed it.
It'll be interesting to me to see. I think it's going to come down to this and Inside Out too when it comes to Oscars. I think they're on about the same level for me, where I felt like everyone liked them more than I did for both. Like I really kind of would put them on par with each other, where that was really good and looked good, but I don't know why I'm not feeling the things I think I'm supposed to be feeling.
I'm with you on Inside Out too.
I am too, Jamie. We should have had you on that one. We liked it, but we didn't understand the reason for it. It didn't say why did that movie need a sequel, because it didn't feel the same as the first one. And yeah, but The Wild Robot, you say it's on the same level, but Drew, do you put it a little bit higher, or you put it?
I would put it a lot higher. Yeah. Like I think I gave Inside Out Inside Out 2, excuse me, a 3.5. And I'd probably give this a 4.5 for myself personally. So I really liked it.
I've noticed my Letterboxd mutuals. I don't know if you guys are on Letterboxd, so we can be friends.
I will follow you today. Okay. I'm the
great.
biggest Letterboxd advocate ever. I love it so much.
Me too. Most of my friends are giving it a 4.5, and I gave it a 3.5. I just feel like I'm like, what's wrong with me? Because I enjoyed it. I really don't have anything negative really to say. I just was like, this is cute. This is a nice little movie. There's some really good dark humor, especially up top, like about the animal kingdom in a way, and I really liked those jokes a lot. I got some good laughs here. But yeah, I don't know. I did like it though.
I'm not hating on you. I'm not going to be the one to tell you should like this movie more than you do. Like you're fine. I totally get it. I understand. I think this one just caught me right at the right time, as I was kind of tired. I'm starting my day off. I've got 4 movies ahead of me, and this just kicked it off in such a good way while I was at the festival. I really enjoyed it.
Well, it's from Chris Sanders. I'm looking back, his mini bio. I mean, I already knew the stuff he was doing, but it said he started doing minor work with the Rescuers Down Under. And then he went to Beauty and the Beast, and then moved on to Lion King, and then did Mulan, and then Lilo and Stitch, where he wrote, direct, and voiced. And then he also co-directed the character design for How to Train Your Dragon. So this guy knows something. Wow. He must know something about.
I did not realize that it was Stitch who directed this movie.
Yes, wow. This was directed by Stitch.
Wow.
You're like half a star up now. Or Stitch is going to come after you.
I'm kind of a Lilo and Stitch hater, but that's my own issues. That is my problem.
I'm with you. Lilo and Stitch is not my Disney.
Oh,
movie.
Don't say that to me. My fiance, that's our movie. That's our life right there.
It came out right at that time where I'm thinking I'm a little too cool to be watching the animated Disney movies and I didn't really catch it then. So just, I don't know.
Well, look who's watching animated movies Sean. Now and loving it. You.
So. I know. Yeah, I'll eat my words.
It's getting a lot of praise. I tell you that. I'm hearing from everybody. It's really one of probably the best films actually of the year, probably. I mean, especially animation, but maybe overall, I'm not sure what else is going to come in. Do you have anything? Do we know, Drew, what is coming animation wise for the rest of the year? Is this kind of the final straw? I don't know of anything else.
Put me on the spot.
I did put you on the spot.
The Lord of the Rings animated movies coming out. Which I really want to see. There was a lot of stuff in front of Transformers 1s that I never heard of. There's a dog cop animated movie. It's like a dog who's a cop.
Yep.
And
Dog Man.
Yeah, there's some like My Hero Academia movie coming
Oh,
out,
yeah.
I think. Which I don't know anything about that, but I just from the trailers was like,
There's one they showed at the festival that I didn't get to catch because it sold out
Flow?
but it was Memoir of a Snail, which is supposed to be a good one this year. And it's like a stop motion movie that looks really good. We also have the Piece by Piece, the Pharrell Williams biopic in Lego form.
so weird. What a weird choice. I think it looks really cute, but like weird.
Yeah.
It makes
very
sense,
weird.
though.
Not as weird as a monkey. He's not a monkey, at least. So.
Yeah.
But there's also another anime movie called Flow, which is getting a lot of praise, which is about it follows a cat, I guess, and it looks kind of looks like a video game, honestly. But it's called Flow, and it's getting a lot of praise, and it was making some rounds, and it's I don't know where it's from. I'm trying to see, but I'm just hearing a lot of things. So
and Moana 2, of course. That's the big one coming out. Yeah.
We forgot about that. Sorry, Disney.
I'm excited to hear the songs. That's really what I care about. I just want to hear the music.
So we're talking about the movies coming up this year. Oscars, is Wild Robot going to be part of the Oscars, we think, talking up next year? Easily?
I think so. I think it's probably going to be a front runner, honestly.
Is Megalopolis
No
going to be part of the Oscars?
Definitely not.
I really don't think so, but you never know with the Oscars. Like sometimes they like to get up. The good thing that I just dropped my headphone and that it happened because I was about to curse, and I don't know if we're allowed to do that on this show. Sometimes the Oscars are weird about stuff. I could see it getting like some technical nominations or like maybe like one actor nomination that's random.
Aubrey Plaza. Best supporting.
If in my dream world, Aubrey Plaza and Elizabeth Olsen are going up against each other for best supporting actress this year, that'd be crazy. But I don't think so. I think that I don't see that happening.
Best director.
No way.
I just want to get reactions from Jamie. That's a whole podcast. The next time we have her, I just want to get reactions from her because she has the best react. Transformers 1. It's going to get any love at all? Something.
I don't know, Sean. I don't. As much as I loved it, I don't know.
Mutant Mayhem didn't get any love, and I'm just like.
And Mutant Mayhem, I think, was much better than Transformers 1.
Yes, I will say that it played a little much differently and much more personally. Like it was a very personal story between that. I was telling the director of Mutant Mayhem, I was like, the scene where they're watching Ferris Bueller's Day Off on the rooftop, and you see each of them like notice something in the crowd is what they're longing for and they want. I was like, that's like emotional to me. Like seeing these turtles is like, they can't have that because they're turtles. They're not real teenage boys or anything like that, but they all like kind of gravitate towards something. And so, yeah, that movie was super, super emotional for me. Big Turtles fan, not gonna lie. I'm getting teary-eyed just talking about my childhood. Love the Turtles and Transformers for me. October is like tomorrow. Jamie, what are we expecting to enjoy and watch in October before we wrap things up?
When it comes to new stuff, I honestly can't. I'm not sure, but because this time of year, all I do is watch spooky movies, horror movies. Like from Labor Day to Halloween, that is what I'm doing at home as much as I can. As much horror, as many. I love Scooby animated movies, so I watch as many Scoobies as I can. And all across the board horror. But like I'm trying to. I can't even think of any October releases I'm excited about. I'm honestly waiting for Wicked in November because I have a Wicked tattoo. I'm a big musical theater kid, and I don't know if it's going to be good, but I've been waiting 20 years for this movie, so that's like that's the big movie for the year that I'm waiting for.
I think Wicked for me was like the first not first one, but a Broadway musical I watched where I didn't hate. Like I'm not a musical person, but I loved it. I was like, this is actually a cool story. I didn't know about it. Really well done stage. My favorite all-time Broadway, I guess it's off Broadway musical I saw, Back to the Future. The musical was epic. Obviously, that's like the best thing ever.
I did not see that one.
Oh, you should. But go ahead, Drew.
We've got Joker coming out. We've got Jamie, have you seen Terrifier 3 yet?
No, I didn't see the first two. I've heard such extreme things, and I'm like, I should just finally sit down and watch them. But like, I don't know. I'm not excited about them. But should I watch them?
I don't know if you could. I don't know if you can suggest Terrifier movies to anybody like with full confidence behind it. The first one is like really short. It's like 70 something minutes long and plays a little bit more traditional horror, even though it's very gory. The second and third ones are just totally off the rail with plots that barely make sense. They are direct sequels to one another, but I mean, they definitely go to some extreme lengths with the gore here. And so if you're into that, it's good. But I mean, it's an acquired taste, I'd say.
I like gore. The Substance is my second favorite movie of the year, and that's certainly gory. So
we've also got Smile 2.
Are we excited for Smile 2? Are we excited for Joker? No one said it. No one had a reaction for Joker. It's a musical.
I can tell you, shout out to Comic Book for letting me go the month before Joker comes out, because now I don't have to sit through it. Like, I hate the first movie with every fiber of my being. I deeply despise it. And I'm sure Gaga's going to be an amazing Harley Quinn, but Harley Quinn's one of my favorite characters of all time, and she has moved beyond Joker. And like, why are we regressing back to the Joker with her? I have no interest in this at all. And Todd Phillips clearly doesn't know what a musical is, because he keeps, it's not a musical. It's just that the characters are expressing their emotion through song. That's literally the definition of a musical, bro. So I didn't see Smile because the trailers annoyed me so much, but the Smile 2 trailer I think looks really good. I might go back and watch the first one.
It's like
the first one surprised me. It was good.
We saw that Fantastic Fest. I think technically it was the world premiere we went, and that was super exciting. And then I guess we could end off Venom. Are we excited for Venom: The Last Dance?
Yes.
There we go.
Excited. So excited. I think that trailer looks awesome. I have a pact with my former Phase Zero podcast host that if we all like it, we're getting Venom horse tattoos. Like, I'm so ready. I want this movie to be good so bad. I've been
What
burned
an
before.
incredible bet. That's amazing.
What if there's more animals that become like...
There are.
So why don't y'all each get like a different animal?
So far they've only shown 3 animals in the trailers. But there's 4 of us. So we're hoping there's going to be a 4th animal. But the idea that we're all going to rate this as out of 10, an 8 or higher is so unlikely. It does not.
This might be the best one out of the 3. I have a feeling that this might be the best one out of 3 because I mean we know who's in the trailer, right? What they're introducing, what villain. Mm-hmm. So like Noel is in it. And that's like a whole different like can of worms. Like that's pretty cool. And this might lead into MCU stuff for once maybe. Like maybe this is Sony's way of saying we'll fix what we've messed up and we'll try to play nicer with the MCU and offer them something that's decent. But I don't know. I'm a big Venom fan and Symbiote fan, all that stuff. Like Carnage, like they did dirty, I felt like. It was like that should have been a rated R film easily. If they're doing Kraven the Hunter rated R, you couldn't give me a Venom film with Carnage that's rated R. Like that was a mistake right there. So that's my my soapbox right now.
I feel like I'm in the best position going into Venom: The Last Dance, which is that I have literally 0 expectations for it. So
you're doing the right thing.
Right.
You're not expecting it to be a musical?
I'm not.
Everyone should do a musical aspect, with Joker 2 being a musical. Venom: The Last Dance should obviously be a musical. And to watch Wicked not be as musical as we think,
Wicked, the thing is, not to go off on too much of a tangent, and Jamie is a big Wicked fan. Okay, so like we know it's part 1, right? Like they're not really marketing it as part 1, but it's part 1. And I feel like the Wicked musical is very front loaded. And isn't Defying Gravity the last song before intermission in the musical?
Yeah,
so like, presumably
exactly.
This movie is going to build to Defying Gravity and end with that. So I'm expecting it's probably going to be pretty strong. But then part 2, I don't know.
Exactly. Like most of the best songs are in the first act. For Good, my favorite song is in the second act, but for the most part, like you said, front loaded. But the thing is, the runtime's like 2 hours and 40 minutes. That's the length of the show. Yeah. What are we doing? Literally, Tony heard that and he goes, "I'm not going with you to see that." I was like, "Fine, you don't have to come." I just make it one movie. I'm like so stressed about it because I really want this to be good, but I don't know.
It's like the Lion King. Like the animated Lion King is not even 90 minutes with credits, and yet they make the quote live action version that's over 2 hours long. Like what? How is this even happening?
That's Hollywood for you. Just try to milk it as much as possible, and then they want to make sequels and prequels, and then television they want to wait 5 years between seasons. So that's another soapbox right there. I don't want to keep Jamie around too much longer, but she is the awesome entertainment journalist for hire. awesome podcaster. What are you podding right now? Talk about your podcast. What do you got going on?
Oh, thank you. I would love to. So I host with Tony, my boyfriend, a podcast called Love in the Time of Hydra. It is an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. 10th anniversary podcast. We revisit every episode on its 10th anniversary, which means it'll be a 7-year podcast. But Tony's never seen the show. So the goal is to keep him spoiler free for the next 6 years because we're on season 2. But if that interests you, on October 6th, so this coming Sunday, we have our first panel at LA Comic-Con, and we are going to be live talking about season 2, episode 3. We have Joe Deckelmeyer from Screen Rant with us, and Brandon Davis is going to pop in.
I love those two, Joe and BD. I love when I run into them whenever I get a chance to hit the West Coast. I mean, they're lovely guys and super nerdy, so it's awesome.
Yeah, so if you're listening to this and you're going to LA Comic-Con, it's October 6th at 1 p.m. in room 402A. That sounds right.
That sounds right. But tell us your handles on every single social media platform out there in existence. It's so many.
I am at Jamie Jirak, my name, on Instagram, TikTok, Letterboxd, very important, and then at Jamie Cinematics on Twitter. I can't wait for Twitter to die, but sadly it hasn't yet, so I'm still using it.
No, there you go. Jamie, I'm glad we made this happen. Thank you for nerding out with us, and we got to have you on again.
Please. No one lets me talk about non-Marvel things. People only ask me to talk about Marvel. So when I get the opportunity to talk about literally anything else, I jump at it. So please.
No, you tell us what you want to nerd out on. We want to do it because we talk about a little bit everything and we love it. There's so much diversity here at Nerdtropolis, and especially at the Moviegoers Society. We need to catch up on so much things, especially television. Once in a while, we'll talk television, we'll talk classics, we'll talk anything we can. So it was so great to have you, and we'll definitely do it again.
Awesome. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. That was awesome. Jamie is definitely one of us. That's for sure, Drew, I must say.
She was great.
Fellow nerd, fellow podcaster, entertainment journalist as well. And she's been doing it for a while and knows her stuff. And I got tuned into the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. podcast. I've caught some of them, and they're really fun. And the fact that, we have a lot of mutual friends is really cool because it's like a small community out there of all of us out there. Drew, what's the next thing we're going to talk about? Because I feel like we have a lot to catch up on. A lot of screenings.
I mean, it's got to be Joker, right? Joker comes out this weekend.
That is true. Can you believe it's already here? It was talked about for like over a year, and we are finally here. And I don't know if I'm looking forward to it as much.
It's tough because I feel like the narrative is kind of the opposite of what happened with the first one, where people didn't really know what to expect with Joker. And then it won the Golden Lion and started getting all of this like festival buzz. And then it won Joaquin Phoenix an Oscar, and it had, tons of Academy Award nominations. And so then they made a sequel, which makes sense. But the buzz I feel like has been kind of the opposite. I've seen some positive reviews, but it seems mostly to be more on the negative side, which is tough. It's not what you want for a movie that's playing the festivals and getting negative buzz, and then that's just sitting out there for a month plus before the movie even comes out. Just not ideal. So I'm still looking forward to seeing it because it's a big release. It's a big comic book movie.
I mean, is it a comic book movie other than just the Joker name? I think that's been the issue with it. And I think that's the issue with, DC's going to come back great. Like, they're working on it. But I think the issue they've been having since that release of the first Joker film is it should have been a standalone. Then you had the Batman, right? And then you had their version of the Joker show up in there. And then you had obviously the stuff with the Snyder. And now we're here with James Gunn doing a new whole thing, which is great. But then also the Batman world is not over yet. The Penguin, which I watched every episode in my reviews up there. Gotta say it. Sorry, Drew. It is a masterpiece. The Penguin is amazing. And so now you just have like all these Gotham worlds colliding, and we're gonna get another Batman. So I think that's
what's the term that James Gunn was using? Because there's obviously going to be the new like DCU or whatever
the Elseworld stuff, like the
Elseworld.
Yeah.
Thank you. So like, yeah, the Batman and even the Penguin series, which is within the Batman universe, but it's part of the DC Elseworld stuff, and the Joker movies are part of that Elseworld stuff, completely separate. It's a little bit convoluted and weird, but I
think it's a term he's using.
People can separate it,
but I think it's a term he's using until it's the end of the road. He's got to cut it. Like, he's going to stop, and then everything's going to be more cohesive. Like what they're talking about, that Deathstroke and Bane like team up film. And I don't know how truthful that is, but some major trades are reporting it. And I was like, well, that's weird. Like, and then who's Deathstroke? It's gonna be was it Joe how do you say his name? Manganiello, whatever his name.
Mangelo.
Yeah.
Is he still supposed to be Deathstroke?
I mean, that's what I'm saying. If they're gonna do Deathstroke, are they gonna bring someone else, or are they just gonna give it to him? Because him and James Gunn are really great friends.
Scrapped. I think they're done with that. Yeah, I think it'll be somebody else.
Yeah, and but the Superman movie and everything else that's being like Lanterns, they got to kind of piece it back together, kind of like Marvel's doing the same thing. They're trying to get back to basics a little bit.
Did you like the Kyle Chandler casting as
I am a big
Hal Jordan?
Kyle Chandler fan.
Me too.
I remember
big Friday Night Lights fan.
See, I go beyond that to Early Edition. I used to watch with my mom. And have you seen that show?
No.
Do you know what it is?
No.
He's a regular Joe in an apartment. And he gets a newspaper every morning, and it's from the future. And so so if someone's in trouble, he knows what's going on. He goes, saves the day. Like, he's actually really good. Like, he's an all-American guy. Somehow that's why it's called Early Edition. He gets the newspaper early, finds out what's horribly going wrong, and tries to correct it or something or help out. It's actually a really great family show. Like, that's what I liked about it. It's a very innocent show and a great concept, to be honest. And that's why I was always a fan of him since then. And you've seen other stuff he's been of recent and other stuff, but I'm a big fan of his and I'm all for it. But I kind of want to see Superman first before I even give this new DC stuff any real love or promise, because
yeah, that's a good point. I mean, if Superman totally flops, which I don't think it will, to be clear. Is all that going to be kind of dead in its tracks? We'll see.
We'll see. But thank y'all all for tuning in to this very special episode of the Moviegoers Society. Don't forget to subscribe, share all our content. I'm actually awarding people that are just interacting with me just randomly, and all our stuff. We also have the advanced screenings. We have the Joker giveaway, Megalopolis, and I still have some stuff for Never Let Go. Is it Never Let Go? Right. Yes, that was the Halle Berry movie. You watched that? Yes. Did you get a chance to catch that one? Yeah, you did.
I saw it at the festival.
Did you have fun with that one? What did you think before we wrap it up?
I thought it was okay.
It was fun, though. I wanted to learn more about some of the backstory stuff. I think that was what the problem is want to just learn more of like what is going on and what happened prior. But we have passes for that as well. But once again, Drew, where can they find you?
You can find me at Drew Munhausen on all the different social media platforms. You can find me on Letterboxd at Drew Munhausen, as Jamie and I were advocating for. So yeah, that's the best place to catch, especially to see all I'm watching and all the things that I get to see that I don't have time to talk about on the Moviegoers Society show. This is a long episode because we had a lot to talk about, but there's definitely more that I could talk about at length.
Thanks again for joining us for another episode of the Moviegoers Society. Once again, I'm Tajipour, the Mayor of Nerdtropolis, and we will definitely see you at the movies.